Topic number 5 tonight says, what is Julius Malema doing? Is he right or not? This came with a link. I saw this video, a piece of it. No, I saw this whole thing this week. You guys sit back. Let's take in this show, The Saint and the Sinner, talking about Julius Malema thinks homosexuality is more important than electricity in South Africa.
He's protesting is the democratic outcome, the creation of laws in an entirely different nation, which is to say he is trying to influence policy, control the thinking of people who are outside of his country. Damn it, it sounds like imperialism. Oh, but yet you are the one who is against imperialism. You are the one who is against imperialism. I guess when the imperialists are white, that's when you're against them. But we know that within you is a white man. Oh, no, actually a white woman, a liberal white woman is inside of you, Julius Malema. And let none of us have leaders that look like this. Disgusting. A leader should be a strong man where young boys can look up to him and say, I'd like to be something like that. Oh, mind you, if there are any low IQ persons on, I invite you to come on. I will provide a link. You can come on and tell me something that I don't know, because we have so many sophists, so many philosophers apparently on YouTube who are inexperienced, provincial, uneducated, and generally dim-witted, and they hide in those comments. I will let you come on and speak your mind. If you have something to say against what I'm saying, I will let you come on and speak your mind. But do not babble in the comments, or else we will assume that you know that you don't have facts behind you, and you know you are of inferior intelligence, and you are just babbling to get attention. He's wrapped himself in the flag of sexual deviance. Let's hear what he has to say.
Museveni brings this bill that is anti-human.
Now, the foolishness. One, he's addressing the head of state of another country, Museveni. You're not the head of state. He is. So there's obviously, in a hierarchical sense, he's already way above you, little buddy. You talking above your pay grade. He's the leader of his country. You're a politician in your country. That's number one. Number two, he's the leader in his country, and he represents the people of his country. You're in South Africa. Why are you trying to influence that country? Why are you against the democratic outcomes in that country? You see, this is the problem with these filthy animals. And when I say these filthy animals, I'm referring to the white liberals, which are inclusive of Julius Malema. What they do is they like democracy only when it yields the outcome they want. They love democracy because generally democracy represents a weak political structure that is easily influenced by foreign interests, foreign capital, foreign corporations, foreign governments. That's why they like a democracy. And also because they can move in and move out the leaders that they want. That is precisely why foreign entities love what they call democracy, but so rarely is it actually democracy. Most often, these persons are hand-selected by the West. Yes, and they're funded by the West. And if they start to misbehave, then things get all bad. They get real dark, and the West finds a way to replace them. Who sometimes? Sometimes they foment unrest. They spread misinformation. They put on economic sanctions, all kinds of things. It's a dirty game. So you're hearing a politician in South Africa speak about the head of state, the democratically elected head of state in a different country. And he's arguing against democratic outcomes in another country. And he's trying to influence the politics in another country. Sounds interventionist, sounds imperialistic, sounds arrogant, and it sounds un-African because he's trying to push out something that is completely out of line with African values, with African religion, hell, even Western religion. Come on now, let's hear about it.
Because gay rights are human rights.
He just said that gay rights are human rights. See, this is a lie. Let me break down this for you. They utilize linguistics in curious ways to confuse you. First off, you should ask yourself, well, what are human rights? What are we talking about? Usually human rights are those things that are so fundamental that we would presume all persons around the world have them. And these are not things that are granted by government, but rather it is endowed upon you just merely by being born as a human being. Gay rights are not human rights, you see, because the right to do something that is generally considered filthy, the right to do something that has historically been documented as a mental illness, the right to do something that is detrimental, not only to you, but to those whom you do it with, and then the children who may be onlooking upon your filthy ways. No, that is not a right to do something like that. Every society has a morality that the masses in that society decide upon. And the masses have decided that they will not allow sodomy. They will not allow these perversions in their nation. It is their right. What gives him the right to tell Ugandans or to tell Tanzanians or Kenyans or those in Gambia or those in Gabon or those in Nigeria what they should do? What gives him the right? I would never trust a man who barely looks like a man. He actually looks like a transgender man. He looks like might actually be a woman. No facial hair. No muscle mass. I say that to say that he is weak. And don't you ever let a weakling lead you. You see, that's been the problem in African nations. They let weaklings lead them. They let weak men lead them. And South Africa has a history of this. They have a famous weakling. His name is what is? I try to suppress it psychologically. It's a point of disgust. What's the Nelson Mandela? Nelson Mandela, great politician, phenomenal orator, weak leader, a disgrace to the black race. Yes, got a history of this in South Africa, and it's vile. I'll tell you why. You see, no one bothers the Jewish people today. You can't even speak ill of the Jewish people. Hell, you can barely even bring up their name. Why? Because after they suffered what they suffered in World War II, they said never again. And the way we will ensure that this never happens again is we will hunt down everyone who hurt us, and we will terrify everyone. We will make them know that you will face execution, you will face hanging, you will face cancellation, you will face economic sanction, you will face everything if you so much as speak a word about us. And just imagine, they're just a small little portion of people. The Africans are a large people, biggest continent. They follow behind these weak leaders, these Mandelas, these Julius Malemas. And how are you going to be a nationalist when you don't know how to protect your own? How are you going to be a nationalist when you don't even know what your own values are? You don't know what African values are. You out of line. How do we know you're out of line? We look at the whole damn continent of Africa. The whole continent. No one agrees with you, buddy. The whole continent, but trip on this, and we're gonna look at the evidence. We look at your own country. No one agrees with you. And here's the sad thing, that the South Africans are resigned to dealing with this boy because they ain't got another real man to stand up. You know, I've been to South Africa a lot. I spent a lot of time there. Yes, indeed. I even was hiring employees there. And I had to stop because they're so damn incompetent. The electrical grid is in disrepair. And we can't do business with no goddamn internet and electricity. Quite funny, because I do believe South Africa also exports energy. It is one thing for the whites to come from Europe and they show up to exploit and dominate, and I can't hate that. But it's yet another thing when you would grow up someone in that land, someone who is supposed to see that land as the land of their ancestors, someone who is supposed to have culture and values, someone who probably came from a tribe but forgot what the hell the teachings of the ancestors were. You know damn well your ancestors weren't transgenders. You know damn well your ancestors were not feminists. You know damn well your ancestors don't believe in this shit. I know his ancestors don't believe in that. How the hell he don't know? You see, that boy is gay. Listen to me. That boy is gay. You know, it's one thing to say it's not right to oppress certain populations, and I agree. It's all right to say we ought not put these people up on the stake and burn them, and I agree. It's all right to say we shouldn't throw stones at them and marginalize them and ridicule them, and I agree. But it is yet another thing to wrap your little fat, skinny body. Yes, he's fat and skinny at the same damn time. It's yet another thing to wrap your fat, skinny body in the flag of perversion. That's a different thing. Now let's hear what this fool has to say.
Just months after EFF leader Julius Malema led a march to the Ugandan embassy.
Look at all these fools. Look at these fools. All that dark skin. All that beautiful dark skin. And inside in each and every one of them is a small liberal white woman. A small liberal white woman who believes in socialism and communism and all these isms that come from Europe and all these philosophies that they don't truly understand and all of these economic schemes that they know not the outcome of. All that black skin, all that idiocy. You see, the real darkness that you should see in this image is the darkness that covers their mind. They're lost. They're ignorant. You see one of them with a rainbow hat on. Unreal that you can have a people who engage in that which is unnatural, yet they have adopted iconography that represents something that only occurs in nature. The rainbow, something that the religious people would say God would show us every now and then. Something that occurs in nature, something that is natural, the rainbow. But it's those who are unnatural who use this as their icon. Amazing. Black people, wake up. Wake up. Black men, wake up. I could never, ever follow a male who would support such things. Let's hear the foolishness.
In Pretoria against its anti-homosexuality bill. Malema charged that the law was draconian and should not be passed into law.
So he's a South African talking about a Kenyan law. He says the law is draconian. When we think of things that are draconian, that would suggest that it's very harsh. You know what's harsh, dummy? And I know this from experience. Load shedding is harsh. You Americans, you Westerners, those of you who live outside of the continent might say, Marquette, what is load shedding? Load shedding is a euphemism from South Africa's political class. It is a euphemism for we fucked up and we can't keep the fucking electricity on, so we're returning you motherfuckers to the dark ages. Literally. It will be dark because we will cut off the electricity. Yes, and you will live and try to do business and try to engage economically in a fucking backward-ass environment with no electricity. And you won't know precisely when it's going out or precisely when it's coming back or precisely how long it'll last or precisely when we'll be out of this quagmire. Yes, that is draconian. You dumb son of a bitch. Yeah, I went there. I went to Cape Town. I went to Camps Bay. I wanted to buy a house and open up an office and do business in South Africa. And I couldn't because you motherfuckers have bad electricity and bad political leadership. And I bet you there were people who had more money than I do who would love to do business in South Africa. I bet you there were people who are already in South Africa, corporations already in South Africa that have to leave because you can't keep the motherfucking lights on. I understand. I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a ghetto. I had times when my mother and father could not pay to keep the lights on. But here's the thing. My mother was a crackhead. Here's the thing. My father was in and out of prison. So why is it that South Africa's government basically adds up to my crackhead mother and their ability to be responsible? That's the kind of thing that should make you mad. You guys have elected crackheads to political office. They're about as competent as my mother was when she was on crack cocaine. Can't keep the lights on.
All right. I guess we had to peep that whole rant by him. But I will say I noticed that this didn't get a lot of pushback MALEMA I'm talking about, when he was promoting this LGBTQ stuff. Now, I know that, in recent years, guys like Forecast, shout out to Forecast and such, they pointed out that we tend to say black first, or some say black only, until we run into one of these, LGBTQ type situations, and then we're not black first. All of a sudden, when there's a black LGBT person, one thing that this guy did say, and I'm not familiar with him, the person who posted the prompt, I was hoping they'd come up. But one thing I would say, I would give him credit for saying is that it's not about harming anyone. People can live their lives and do what it is that they want to do. Right now we're dealing with Dwight Howard has been outed in the court of law, the basketball player. And to be honest, most of us kind of knew he was suspect for a while, but we don't want to see no harm come to anyone who's on that spectrum. So I'm glad that the brother pointed that out. And so we can be black first, even though we might not agree with the lifestyle. We can be black first and inclusive of those folks who practice it. What we don't want to do, though, unapologetically, is promote the lifestyle. I saw a brother on Twitter was talking about how, like in the Congo, there's evidence that they were like cross-dressers and whatnot, and how they weren't harmed, they were respected, this, that, and the other. And like the colonizers came in and kind of was upset that Africans, kind of didn't treat them with disdain. And I think it just goes back to the idea of like, man, live your life. But I think it also proves that as Africans, we didn't promote that type of stuff. And so I think that's something that we should keep in mind. But I'll throw it to the panel now. Is MALEMA right in what he's doing? Is he right? Yes or no? Let me start with RBG. What say you?
Man, I didn't necessarily even want to go first, but look, we can't sit up here and promote this. We can't have like what's supposed to be vanguard political people out here, majoring in minors. We can't do it. That flag is a misrepresentation of light itself. It's not something that, I mean, I thought that, I remember when he went up into parliament and he had his EFF and they all had their little red jumpsuits, right? That was years ago. That was maybe 10 years ago, maybe like more than that. This is I mean, let's see, Kenyan anti-gay activist Lumumba to speak at EFF. See what I'm saying? So like this dude's going like kind of like again be captain, you know what I'm saying? Captain Save him, you know what I'm saying? With his you know what I'm saying, rainbow cape on, dude. It's like it's not what it's never good. It's never good. It's like why would you even like be extra with it? You know what I'm saying? Why would you be the mascot like that? Why would you be mascot even for a day like that? You know what I'm saying? Ain't no calculation for me. Like there's just, you don't have to do, it's like the whole spectacleism of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know what I'm saying? You done, what about his flag? Have you ever seen him wrap his flag up like that? It's like, that's like, you don't want to put it to the same level. Like that's not a national flag. That's that international that's the international flag. That's like more UN, more colonialism from overseas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it. Why grown men even come on, like I don't think anyone is gonna do that. I mean, I just it sends a wrong message. It sends a message that, you know what I'm saying, to impressionable minds, into people's outs. Man, come on, man. Don't South Africa had they had this dude you know what I'm saying, they had all these You know what I'm saying? There's all kinds of sexual perversion down there. With the, you know what I'm saying, down there with you know what I'm saying, a lot of, you know what I'm saying. It's not. It's a bad look, to say the least. It's like, what, you know what I'm saying. Now this dude, again, I in all what we talk about with culture, this is like these international people can come in and send their symbols and flags and have them wave around, and it's like, I mean, naturally that comes with resources. You know what I'm saying, fuel for the plane trips. You know what I'm saying, full of people with hotels when they go there and they do they missionary work of the 21st century, as it were. So, like, you know, that has to be, you know what I'm saying? It's just a lot of the whole, they come in with gifts and with, you know what I'm saying, good intentions, and, you know what I'm saying, that colorfulness of, even of the flag, it's just a one big, just like, you know what I'm saying, spectacle, and just, you know what I'm saying, it's not a solemn, like, you know, colors, you know what I'm saying? I don't, it's not what it is. I'm gonna pass the mic now.
Appreciate that, RBG. Trigger Happy in the chat says, I would really like if we could get a really deep analysis when it comes to this topic, because a lot of this justification is science. For the opposite position, there needs to be scientific arguments. You know, Trigger, I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but the implication is that we don't give deep analysis here. And my thing to that is, you know, come and be the deeper analyzer. You know, and of course, there's not any attack on you or nothing like that. But, you know, like Thanos said, all right, I'll do it myself. Like, let's be grateful for what the panelists, the people who come up and share their thoughts. I'll be grateful for what they bring. And if you want more, be the more. I'll leave it at that. With that said, let me hear from Webb on this. Webb, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I hate to admit he was cooking for a little bit there, bro. I wanted to get he needed a spoon and he needed a spatula. But it was kind of a comedic tone. That's kind of why, you know, Trigger Happy's comments kind of weird, because this to me, honestly, this was not even a serious video worthy of a super deep analytical analysis. This is a dude ranting into a microphone. Some of the parts you will agree with, some of the parts you don't, to try to like scientifically break. He wasn't even scientifically break. How the fuck you gonna break down scientifically what the fuck he was saying? He's just ranting about South Africa not having fucking power and shit, you know? So if you want like a deeper analysis, I think you need to probably present something that's more scientific on the way where you can kind of go into those deeper issues of what he's talking to, even if you want to go into the LGBTQ history of Africa, if you want to go into that analysis, right? But that being said, I agree with this part that this Julius Malema dude is a kind of a clown to me. I want to say, you know, he's currently talking about free Palestine, you know, with LGBT. What do you think would happen in Palestine if he walked around with that flag draped on his body, or any Arab majority nation with that same flag draped on his shoulders? Like, what do you think would happen to you, bro? You know what I'm saying? Take your African ass to an Arab majority nation with that flag draped on you, and see how that works out for you. Most of his platform is actually just, you know, repetition or repeating many of the World Economic Forum platforms, to me, if you look at what he's advocating, what he's pushing. So to me, you know, the guy is who he is, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think the guy speaking, the initial speaker, whoever made this video, I think it kind of got off the rails a little bit toward the end, I think. But I do agree with some of what he said, though. That's all I got. I ain't gonna take long with the subject, but that's all I got, bro.
Appreciate you, Webb. Yeah, I mean, you know, like Webb said, like I said earlier, some of the things that he says, he's correct. Like, why would you make yourself, why would Malema make himself the face of this thing? And after he had so much support from the diaspora too, See, that makes me wonder now, because you do have to be a skeptic sometimes. That makes me wonder, well, why was he portrayed enough for us to like the guy, right? To pay attention to him, and then he comes out with this stuff. It's kind of strange to me. Uh, Let me hear from Buana. Buana, what say you?
Yeah, I follow the two of these brothers, somewhat. So I know the histories of the both of these brothers. And for Julius, for us, let me start here. For us, in terms of leadership, the kind of leadership we want is we must agree on every issue that leader proposes before us. For him to resemble what we agree to as leadership in our eyes, he has to agree on every front, every issue. And I don't necessarily think that's what makes a good leader. There are going to be some things that a person like Mugabe is my guy. I like Mugabe. But there are some policies and some ideas of Mugabe I did not like. I completely disagreed with because I understand, but because I understand, not every human being is one thing. A human being is extremely nuanced. You have different facets and functions. Now, this guy was right when he said the majority of Africa are anti-LGBT. Why does he have LGBT in his mouth? That's a valid question. That's an absolutely valid question. You know. Also, Julius Malema is a Marxist. I'm not a Marxist. I disagree with the idea of Marxism, but I know some of my brothers hold fast to Marxism and socialism. Does that make him a good and a bad leader? It depends on who you asking. You know what I mean? I think that some of Julius Malema ideas are good ideas. Are good ideas. There's some ideas that he have are far fetched. This is the problem sometimes we have with politicians. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have a politician, or even in leadership. You know what I mean? All Julius Malema is doing is proposing a system in South Africa that he feels is going to be beneficial for the majority of South Africans. He may stand on a platform or LGBT that I personally disagree with completely, but some people some voters in his constituency or even in South Africa may want that. I don't know. I personally don't know. Marquette, on the other hand, there are some things that I could point to him personally and say, let he with clean hand, a person with clean hands should come before any judge or adjudicator and make accusations with someone with dirty hands. Marquette don't have the cleanest hands as well. Marquette was the Satan the sinner was once a proponent of pimping. Iceberg Slim, big supporter at one point. He changed his platform. He started talking about other things. No problem. A man can change his positions on other things. Marquette is a Muslim too. He have a religious perspective that I don't particularly agree with. You know what I mean? So for him to lobby one black man to lobby allegations at another black man, where there's some things about that black man I don't agree with. There's some things about the accuser that I don't agree with. But because he sound like he making sense, what about the white girl who been in support, and why his white girlfriends and the white girl who probably behind the camera right now, who been supporting him throughout his career? His little white Becky. He talking about African politics. I feel like sometimes these brothers get on a platform to browbeat Africa from the position of where they stand at. South Africa currently has light problems and light issues. Nelson Mandela became the president of South Africa or in power in 1995. The light issues is a recent problem in Africa. But hey, they are in Africa. There are gonna be issues that arises in trying to perfect the country. What country is this man currently governing to ensure sustainable light is going on in that country? None. He's standing from a platform where he lives in the United States. talking about another person's country, he's doing the same thing Julius Malema is. Let he with clean hands be the accuser and come before and make the judgments. But he doesn't run a country. He doesn't know what goes into that. Then he talks about Nelson Mandela. I have issues with Nelson Mandela. Absolutely issues with Nelson Mandela. You know what I mean? But Nelson Mandela run his country. He's after 27 years in jail. Who are you to criticize this man? You know, I don't know, man. The man lives in a free country, and he have a free right to criticize all he wants and all these. The criticism, the free criticism that he has, the person that he's defending, Museveni wouldn't allow that kind of criticism in Uganda. Museveni don't believe in freedom, the freedom of speech he is expressing on his platform, sitting safely in the United States of America. It's just, I don't know, it's an interesting dynamic, the social media, you know, but these brothers can do what they gonna do. I try to stand in a position of objectivity, and I don't, no man I completely say that this man is a representative or what I completely believe in and so forth. Even Marcus Garvey had some ideas in his head that I don't agree with. Even him, you know, and I venerate Garvey, you know, but I don't understand what is it that we want specifically from our leaders. Because there are some things that they agree with that I completely disagree with. There are some things that they say I agree with completely. You know, it just depends on where you stand in. But I don't know. I slow to stand in judgment a certain black men, but I am not an advocate of the LGBT organization. So, but I'll leave it there. I'll just leave it there.
Appreciate that, Juana. Erzuli's in the chat. He says Julius is an informant. What the hell did that have to do with Julius? You know, earlier Trigger was talking about the science of homosexuality. You know, to be very frank with y'all, there is no science of homosexuality. There is some suppositions that scientists make, like for a long time. I can remember this too. I remember when I was growing up, people who would argue against homosexuality would say there's no gene for homosexuality. You can't identify a gene. And all of a sudden, like in the 90s, some people suppose that this particular gene X something, X23 or something like that, this particular gene is probably likely involved in homosexuality. Then they have this other thing where they say that homosexuality tends to be seen from the mother's side of the family. So like the mother's brothers and all this kind of stuff but there's no real good explanation for it. You can't say it's evolution. That doesn't make sense. They've made up some shit to say, well, for evolution, a lower valued or low standing man could rise up through an alliance, so to speak, with another man, and blah blah blah. But it's just hogwash. There's nothing really scientific about it. And I think Umar Johnson is the one who kind of broke this down for the black community some years ago. Most times when we hear about homosexuality amongst black folks, it's usually through some tampering, some adult tampered with a child, etc. Like the idea that people are born that way there's just no proof of it at all. Does anyone else want to add any thoughts?
Yes, I do, man. I don't believe in that whole gay gene. Look. Black folks understand genetic science, right? Look. They say, who is they people in they science saying that these look. No, man, no, ain't no way. Look, ain't no way. I'm telling you, our people. There's no. Anything, any kind of extrapolation, retrograde about black people in just no. In Black Africa, no, absolutely not. I mean, not No. I think that the whole idea, there's no reasoning to even predicate that, because I mean the whole idea of the family unit and actually, you know, having a man, it's difficult for me to even like try to attempt to like try to make sense out of something like that, because like it, you know what I'm saying, it's all speculation. And I don't want to sit here and spend a lot of time speculating on, like, again, like incredibly minute kind of situations. Like anything like that has to do with men not being men. Men being around women will make you soft and make you think like a woman. Period. You know what I'm saying? If you out there in soldier and you actually have enough sense to be around men and then have families that you defend, you don't have to worry about any of that queer stuff. Cause you always got your lady, you got the peace at home. Nah, you know what I'm saying? It ain't that hard. It ain't that hard for me. That whole genetic angle is a real twist, because I don't see no black people with the genetic science, replicating that science. Boom. You know what I'm saying? That just on that. You know what I'm saying? White folks ain't replicating that science. You know what I'm saying? It was hard, it's hard enough for black people to do the Chemron, you know what I'm saying, on the anti-AIDS drug type tip. It's a lot of things, and even when we try, it's always like it's difficult for even. Again, I'm high skepticism, like a gay gene. Nah, it's just, men gotta be around men to be strong, and you know what I'm saying, get your sharpness about you, to get your prickliness about you. Man, let me pass the mic.
Let me ask a question. This is an important question, right? All right. So the the brothers are against LGBT. Fine. I'm against LGBT. I'm against it. But there are other issues relevant to South African people that this brother has spoken on. So should we dismiss him on a one issue basis because we disagree with him, or should we accept him if he is right on 99% of the issues that he talked about, but this one particular issue he should be dismissed outright?
He ain't right on 99% of the issues, though. What 99% of the issues is he right on? You even disagree with his economic point of stance.
I do. No, I do.
No person is 99% right. And yes, you should, because guess what? Population matters, right? If you promote LGBTQ, you cannot replicate yourself, right? That's a fact. It's a big fact that it takes a man and a woman to get together to create more people. If you have more people, guess what? If I have 10 and you have 2, guess what? We control you, because it's 10 of us and it's 2 of you. So population matters. And if you promote LGBTQ, you are anti-population. Okay? Because the only way they can procreate is either to get with another straight person or to go to a lab. So period. So yes, you should dismiss a person on one fucking issue, because that's a big issue. I hate that whole like, oh no, they're right 99%, but this is a big fucking issue, right? that is a huge issue, right? And the problem, and part of what you're seeing right now, a lot of the things you're seeing right now, if you've noticed the news worldwide, it's a big pushback because so many African immigrants are going to so many places. You're seeing a big immigration. They like to focus on the Hispanic population, but it's also in Europe. You're seeing a lot of Africans go over there because you have such a large African population boom. The only continent in the world right now that has a positive growth rate, or at least as far as population, is Africa, the continent of Africa, many of the African nations, right? And so you're seeing a lot of things, a lot of stuff you're seeing right now is just reactionary against that population boom, because God forbid the world turns brown or black or African, right? So that's what you're seeing right now. So that is a huge issue. It's probably the biggest issue that you're ever going to see, is we have more people than you. that itself is power, yo. So yeah, hell yeah.
This is the reason. This is the reason. I hope Black Steel is listening to this, because I would like him to come on, because you won't see the variance of opinion. Because whereas this is a big issue for my brother just now, for him, he's gonna see the issue a little bit differently in terms of Julius Malema, just on this panel.
I'll say that I have to agree with Webb that if the one issue is a huge one, in particular, in that it doesn't really align with who you are, who your people are, yeah, I'm gonna have to escort you up out of here. This is not our shit. In the chat earlier, Trigger asked me, I think he was asking me, he was asking this question. By the way, Anthony McPhail says there's a strong LGBT movement and in South Africa, regrettably. And that tells me something. That tells me, because we know the history of South Africa, we know how these white folks rolled in there. That tells me that this is some shit that is a response to what happened to them in South Africa. Similar to how you see some of this DL stuff going on in the States. Trigger Happy 262 asks, what would you say to the claims from those who say they knew they were this or that from young? I would say that that's the reason why they go after the young. They manipulate them to think that it was their choice, that it was always their way of thinking. But what really happened is they were groomed. And you could go case by case 9 out of 10 times in the black community. I would say if you find someone who says they're on that spectrum, they were tampered with as a child. They were tampered with as a child 9 times out of 10. If they start talking about they were born that way, show me the genetics. Show me the gene. Right? And we just have to be honest about it. Now we don't have to be hateful. You know, and it's funny how things change. 30 years ago, I would have boom bye-bye. But you know, with time, I guess getting older and all this old shit. You know, whatever you do in your bedroom, keep it there. And we're not going to promote that to our population. We want more Africans, you know, not less. Also, one last thing. Afro-Native were brought up the Greco-Roman culture. Yeah, that's what they was doing. A lowly grunt, especially in their army, could rise up by getting you know, tampered with by a general. In fact, that was like the mark of a man in their culture. That's not our shit. You know, that's not our shit. I think Buana wanted to add something. Go ahead.
No, that wasn't me. I think that was
That's me.
harsh reality.
Oh, Webb. Sorry.
Yeah, just to add to you what you're saying, because I know a lot of people talk about the scientific aspect. You see on the gay gene, blah 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 blah. You know, but if you want to break down from a scientific standpoint, who has the highest levels of like depression or on, you know, psychotropic drugs right now? Who has the highest suicide, you know, rates right now, right? Who has the highest level of HIV transmission right now? All of these things the LGBTQ community tops in. You feel me? So if you want to go off a scientific standpoint, you know, or you read the data. You know, the data tells you, and this is not no hateful stuff. I think you're just an adult, you should be able to live whatever lifestyle you want to live. Just don't push it on me. But at the same time, you know, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. It shows in everything you say that, you know, this is not a natural lifestyle. Otherwise, you wouldn't have such a high percentage. Then they try to break it down like, oh, it's because they're so hated, or it's because people discriminate. No, it's because it's not a natural way to live. You know what I'm saying? Like you're putting things in exit holes. Like you should not to go too much into detail, but yeah, you know, all the stats point to what you're saying. You know, it's like when people try to argue against the nuclear, I should say, family or whatever, right? And every stat points that if you have a mom and a dad in the household, I don't care if you add extended family, but if you have a mom and a dad in the household, you know, the statistics point that you're going to be more successful in life, period. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with these stats point to the LGBTQ community. So I don't think that's hateful. It's just the fact of the matter, yo. You choose your lifestyle, but at the same time, you don't need to promote it. Like you said, a bit of medicine earlier. You don't need to, doesn't need to be a quota for every TV show, you know, that we have to have a certain amount of this demographic, or that, you know, we have to, in kids cartoons, they even promoting this lifestyle. So, you know, so that's my 2 cents, bro.
So,
that's a great point.
so
Go ahead.
I have a quick question. So, since we say that the homosexual issue is a heavy issue, one issue, is the biggest issue, more so than any other issue in terms of some African societies. My question becomes, why are more Western people, Western Black people, they go to South Africa as opposed to they going to Uganda? See, Uganda is anti-gay, and South Africa, even without, if you remove Julius Malema, South Africa is a pro-gay society. But more Western Africans, not even Western Africans, continental Africans migrate to South Africa as opposed to migrating to Uganda. So why is that the reason? Because if it's just a one issue, or one issue thing that we don't want to deal with, we don't want to, whatever, more people are moving. The actions of the people say that more people are moving to South Africa as opposed to Uganda, even though Uganda is a more anti-gay society. So there must be other things and the reasons why more Westernized Africans or continental Africans would prefer to move to South Africa as opposed to Uganda.
Check the gross domestic product. That'll answer your question. What's the GDP of Uganda versus the GDP of South Africa? You're going to make more money in South Africa. You know what I'm saying? As a relocation.
Yes, sir. I agree with that completely. Therefore, there must be other things outside of just the homosexual issue that would make the society better, or Black people would want to focus on. You know what I mean? When you look at in terms of leadership and the governance of a country, greater than the issue of homosexuality, there must be other issues. That's just my point. The whole thing.
Yeah, it sounds like you're down by Potter's Key right now, Buana. There's a lot of breeze. We could hear a lot of breeze blowing in your phone there. But yeah, I mean, listen, Black people. I just had the term in my head and I just lost it. But Black people go against their own interests all the time, and a lot of it has to do with with money. So yeah, people will go there, but that doesn't mean that they want leadership that's promoting this lifestyle too. You know what I mean? Like we'll do what benefits us, but it doesn't necessarily mean we agree with all of it. So that's the thing. It's not a thumbs up or some approval of what he's talking about. Like me personally, I'll be honest with you, I was disappointed in Malema. I could stomach the Marxism stuff to a certain extent, but this shit here, to promote it that heavily, I find that to be problematic. Shout out to KW Don 7, by the way. He's in the chat. He said Malema's controlled opposition. RBG said Buana shooting the breeze. KW Don 7 said Malema's controlled opposition. He said straight Black pride all day, every day. I appreciate that as the last thought for the show tonight.
Can I add one more thing? The nature, the flag itself. I mean, if you look at, it symbolizes something particularly in South Africa, and it's not good. I mean, again, it's like, the nature of the flag. The stripes are horizontal, just like the stripes of the Dutch, the Germans, who also have orange in their flag. You know what I'm saying? In that blue. You know what I'm saying? It's just the nature of the way that he's wielding the flag outside of any kind of the way the when you have stripes, like it's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It's like the stripes almost mean something. Like they want the way, South Africa's culturally trying to just cut across. The boards are trying to just, the purple's like the Catholics, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you cannot sit here and promote homosexuality, Malema has no business doing that. It's just like, this is why, I mean, and let Africans run around in South Africa and tell them otherwise. You know what I'm saying? Let Lumumba go up there and say you're doing wrong. Let him. That's all I got to say.
While you're there, IBG, what would you like to shout out this week?
I don't know. I've been getting a couple things together in my personal life. I guess I'm gonna shout me out. I done took care of a couple things for me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get into details. You know what I'm saying? I done made my little. You know what I'm saying? Stepped up a little bit, so I'm happy.
Kudos.
You know, you gotta persevere out here in life. You know what I'm saying? You have to. I mean, you can't give up on. You know what I'm saying? You can't give up on yourself. You can't give up on people in your similar situation. You can't give up on the people who may be a couple levels above you, but could sure use you if you could just maintain yourself. You know what I'm saying? Couple people might be a couple steps below you. You know what I'm saying? Just hold on to what you can, but you know what I'm saying? You gotta, you know, believe in yourself. You got to be a solid link in the chain. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be the weak link, because if you're the weak link, you have to strengthen yourself before you even try to link up with another man. That's all I got to say.
Appreciate that. RBG saved the burger for tomorrow. Webb, what say you, man? What's going on with the Hush Valley podcast on Hip Hop High Society?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, we just recorded actually podcast tonight. Make sure y'all check out the round table. It was a pretty good discussion. I try to keep it relevant to the actual art and not, you know, get into some TMZ type shade room nonsense, so make sure y'all check us out, man. We recorded the episode tonight, actually, right before I came on here. We just wrapped up. So check out the roundtable at Hip Hop High Society. As far as the harsh reality, I'm kind of in limbo right now. I'm thinking of transition to a interview, more so interview platform, talking to different people and stuff like that. Just kind of switch it up, because Rise is gonna be out for a while. Of course, we had AO go and some issues with some of the panelists we was trying to add. So I'm thinking of going to an interview like we did the Present series. That might be the normal podcast. I'll let you know and keep you abreast of all the issues and things going on with that. So that's what I'm working on right now. I've already kind of got some guests lined up, so I think I'm gonna go to that, of doing the interviews and talking to different people and stuff like that. But check us out. We're trying to stay active, trying to stay consistent and stuff like that. Appreciate your platform, Koku, bro. Salute to you, man.
I appreciate you too, Webb. Webb, if you don't mind, I'll email it to you. But if you might be interested in interviewing that group I interviewed a little while ago, MCE. They have some new projects out now, children's books, things of that nature. And you probably be a better person to interview them than I would. So I'll forward you the information behind the scene. All right. Last but not least, Buana, what would you like to shout out this week?
No, shout out to everyone. D-Web, your product is good, brother. I like Rise. I don't know, Rise don't want to, well, maybe Rise had other things in terms of obligations, but the product is good. Nothing wrong with that product. But if you got to move on and do other things, no issues with that as well. But I think the product was good. In terms of tonight, everyone, we made the show work tonight. We gave our contributions. I don't know, maybe it's a slow night for a lot of the brothers, but we made the show work tonight, and I think that it was a good show in terms of our contributions. For me, let me also say, to be clear, I'm a patriarchal guy. I wouldn't mind living in a patriarchal society where you have men at the forefront, like a Mussolini society. I don't have no issues with living in a patriarchal society. Yeah, I would love to live in a patriarchal society. Even though the way the world is going more matriarchal or becoming more effeminate in an outlook and view, I wouldn't mind living in a patriarchal society. I'm still a Bombay person, to be honest with you. But to create variance in the discussion and to create nuances to the discussion. It's always good to discuss the other side of the game, to sharpen the minds of the people and our listeners, to be objective. But I just wanted to make that very clear. But shout out to the Bitter Medicine, shout out to you, Koku, and good night to the brothers on the panel.
Appreciate that, Juana. Afro Native World asks about the book club update. I enjoyed the nation building series. Yeah, there is no update yet. I need to speak to Black Steel about it. It's something that I would like to bring back. I was just listening to what's that brother's name again? Is it Eli? British brother. I saw Oni in the chat there too. He's reading Amos Wilson right now, Blueprint for Black Power. And I like that kind of thing when you could not only get the book information, but you can get a commentary, like a running commentary. I like what Black Steel and I used to do back in the day. I would like to bring it back. I would like someone to kind of take care of it, as opposed to me having to organize it. But we'll see. We'll see. That book that we talked about at the end of last week's show, I don't know if one of them had a chance to read it, but hopefully everyone will read it since we have it for free. And then we could discuss that particular book. Oh, you know what? Maybe I might even read that book. We'll see. We'll see. But anyway, that's the show tonight. I want to thank everyone for their input. I want to thank everyone who posted a prompt tonight. Thanks to the chat, everyone who showed up. It was a slow night, but it was good. Everyone's talking about Fury and our boy getting robbed there by Fury and them. I got to go check it out now after the show. We'll be back next week. Make sure to check out the other shows on the network. And until next week, guys, you guys be good. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.